Have you ever felt that nagging sensation, like something is just not quite right when you're around someone? Maybe you notice a forced smile or a fleeting glance that seems out of place. Picture this. You're at a gathering, enjoying the chatter and laughter, when you suddenly catch that one person whose behavior feels strangely distant. Their eyes never quite meet yours, and even though they speak politely, there's a subtle tone that leaves you wondering. What if I told you those small cues might be telling you something important, that someone might secretly harbor deep resentment toward you? Imagine sharing some good news, a personal win, a promotion, or even just a small victory from your day. Most people around you would share in your excitement, but then there's that one individual whose response is always a bit too cool, as if your success means nothing at all. At first, you might chalk it up to a bad day on their part, but when these moments start piling up, you can't help but ask yourself, could it be that there's more behind that polite smile? Sometimes the most revealing clues aren't found in bold declarations, but in the subtle, almost unnoticeable details. It's not about shouting anger or overt hostility. It's those quiet, almost invisible gestures that speak volumes. Have you ever felt that a comment, seemingly harmless, leaves you questioning your worth, like your achievements are just a fluke? It makes you wonder if their silence or offhand remarks are masking a hidden dislike. Today, I'm here to share some insights about these silent signals, those hidden behaviors that might indicate someone doesn't truly have your best interests at heart. We're going to explore how these quiet actions can actually reveal a lot about a person's inner world, all while looking at the wisdom of Stoicism to help us understand and manage these feelings. I promise that by the end of our chat, you'll be better equipped to recognize these behaviors and, more importantly, to protect your own peace of mind. Before we go any further, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and turned on notifications. That way, you'll always be updated with more thoughtful conversations like this one. And while you're here, drop a comment below. Have you ever sensed that someone's courteous exterior might be hiding something more unsettling? I'd love to hear your experiences. This isn't about blaming anyone or letting negativity take over. It's about gaining a better understanding of the unspoken language that sometimes fills our everyday interactions. It's about realizing that sometimes what feels like a personal slight is more about someone else's inner struggles than about you. So, join me in this discussion as we unpack these subtle signals and learn how to keep our inner light shining, even in the face of hidden hostility. You know, it's interesting how the strongest feelings often remain hidden. Hate isn't always shouted out loud, it's usually whispered in the silence of our interactions. Sometimes the very person who seems the friendliest might be hiding a well of resentment behind their polite smile. Have you ever wondered why someone would never express their dislike so openly? The truth is, most people choose to hide their true feelings, and the reasons behind this are both complex and deeply rooted in our psychology. Often the first reason is envy. When someone envies you, they may go to great lengths to disguise that envy behind courteous behavior. Imagine a coworker who, when you share a recent success, offers a smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes and even compliments you in a way that feels forced. You might hear, "Wow, you really did well this time." But behind those words, there's an unspoken message. "I wish I could be like you." It's not that they can't appreciate your achievements. Rather, they feel threatened by your success. In their minds, your accomplishments serve as a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings. Then there's insecurity, a powerful driver of hidden hate. Insecurity can make someone doubt their own worth, and in turn, they project that doubt onto others. Consider the scenario where a colleague always seems to belittle your ideas. They might say, "That's interesting. I suppose not everyone can think outside the box," in a tone that suggests they're struggling with their own fear of inadequacy. In these moments, their insecurity manifests as a subtle, constant criticism that is more about their inner turmoil than it is about you. Unresolved grudges also play a major role in hidden animosity. Sometimes, a minor disagreement or a past hurt lingers in a person's mind long after the conflict should have been forgotten. Instead of addressing the issue directly, they let that resentment fester silently. Picture a friend who never quite forgives a small mistake you made months ago. Even though they rarely mention it, their behavior subtly shifts. There's a coolness in their tone, a hesitation in their greeting. It's as if the memory of that incident continues to cast a shadow over every interaction, a silent reminder that the past is never truly past. Another factor is projection, where a person attributes their own negative feelings onto someone else. Sometimes the hate they feel is actually a reflection of what they refuse to acknowledge within themselves. For example, if a person struggles with anger or self-doubt, they might accuse you of being overly aggressive or insecure, even if you're calm and collected. You might hear them say, "You always seem so tense," or "Why are you so defensive?" Words that are more about their internal battle than about any truth in your behavior. It's important to understand that these psychological drivers rarely lead someone to openly declare, "I hate you." Instead, they choose to express their feelings in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. This hidden hostility is like a shadow that follows you, always present, yet difficult to pinpoint. You might not notice it at first, because it's so well hidden behind everyday politeness. And yet, these little actions, those offhand remarks, the delayed greetings, or the backhanded compliments, can gradually chip away at your self-confidence, if you allow them to. Consider a scenario where a person continuously undermines your achievements without directly confronting you. Every time you mention a success, they offer a comment that seems supportive on the surface, but upon closer inspection, feels dismissive. "That's great. For a change," they might say, leaving you with a nagging doubt. In these moments, it's not that they can't acknowledge your hard work. They simply can't bear to see you shine because it forces them to confront their own feelings of inadequacy. Have you ever experienced a situation where someone you thought was friendly ended up leaving you with a strange, uneasy feeling? Maybe they laughed at your jokes, but their laughter always seemed a beat too late or a little too forced. In those cases, their behavior might be their way of concealing envy or insecurity. They never allow themselves to show the raw emotion of their true feelings, so instead they maintain a facade of indifference or feigned interest. It's as if they're saying, "I'll hide my true self behind these courteous words," even though inside there's a storm of unspoken resentment. And sometimes these reasons overlap. A person might be both envious and insecure, letting one feed into the other until they become overwhelmed by feelings they can't articulate. They might struggle with a mix of jealousy over your success and deep-seated self-doubt, making it nearly impossible for them to deal with the situation in a straightforward manner. The result is a complex tapestry of unspoken emotions that leads to behavior that is confusing to those on the receiving end. When you encounter someone whose actions seem incongruent with their words, it could very well be that they are wrestling with this internal conflict. The challenge for you is not to take these subtle behaviors to heart, but rather to understand that they often say more about the other person's inner struggles than they do about your worth. It's a bitter truth, yet one that can be incredibly liberating once you see it for what it is. Recognizing that hidden hate is a projection of someone's own pain can help you maintain your own peace. It allows you to step back and ask, is this about me or is it about them? In doing so, you reclaim your power and protect your emotional well-being. So, as you reflect on these thoughts, consider the idea that hidden hate is rarely an expression of genuine dislike for you. It's more often a cry from within, an indication of someone else's unresolved issues and vulnerabilities. The quiet resentment they harbor is not a judgment on your character, but rather a mirror reflecting their own inner conflicts. When you start to see it that way, you can begin to let go of the sting and focus on what truly matters, your own growth and happiness. Now that we've unpacked some of the deep psychological reasons behind hidden hate, envy, insecurity, grudges, and projection, let's shift our conversation to understanding the subtle behaviors that reveal these underlying feelings. Up next, we'll examine the clear signs that someone might be secretly harboring hate for you. These are the small, almost invisible cues that, when taken together, can help you recognize what's really going on beneath the surface. Sign number 1. They downplay your success. Ever noticed how some people never truly celebrate your wins? They casually remark, "Oh, you got lucky," or "that was a fluke," even when your hard work is evident. It might sound like a harmless comment at first, but over time, these offhand remarks start to reveal a deeper, hidden resentment. Imagine landing a big promotion at work and receiving congratulations from most, while one colleague offers a dismissive, "Well, I guess anyone could do it." That subtle deflation of your achievement isn't just a passing comment. It's a silent message that your success is not entirely welcome. It can make you wonder, is it really about you, or is it about the other person's inability to celebrate someone else's accomplishments? Often, this behavior stems from envy and a fear of being overshadowed, and it's their way of keeping you from shining too brightly. The next time you hear such remarks, pause and reflect on whether they're meant to lift you up or to hold you back. Sign number 2. Backhanded compliments. Have you ever received a compliment that left you feeling confused, like it was both praise and criticism at the same time? "You're so smart for someone like you," or "I'm surprised you pulled that off," might be said with a smile, but the undertone is unmistakable. These comments are designed to make you question your abilities, even when there's no reason to doubt them. It's as if the person giving the compliment is simultaneously acknowledging your talent while also subtly reminding you of their own insecurities. This double-edged remark is a way for them to mask their own jealousy. For instance, consider a scenario where you share an innovative idea during a meeting and a colleague responds, "That's a brilliant thought," for someone who's never really been in this field before. The compliment might initially make you feel good, but once you process it, you realize there's an underlying sting, a hidden message of inadequacy. Such backhanded compliments serve as a reminder that sometimes praise is not as straightforward as it seems. Sign number 3. They avoid eye contact. In any genuine interaction, eye contact is a simple yet powerful indicator of trust and connection. When someone consistently avoids looking you in the eye, it could be more than mere shyness. It might be a deliberate effort to hide true feelings. Picture a situation where, during a conversation, you notice that while others maintain steady eye contact, one person's gaze continually drifts away, as if they're trying to escape the intensity of the moment. Have you ever wondered why someone would do that? Often, this avoidance can signal discomfort or even hostility. It may be their way of concealing the animosity they feel inside. For example, a friend might frequently look away when you mention something you're proud of, as if avoiding a direct confrontation with their own envy or resentment. Such behavior is subtle, yet over time it creates a pattern that is hard to ignore, hinting that their true feelings might not be as warm as they appear on the surface. Sign number 4. They withhold genuine praise. When you do something noteworthy, a supportive person would naturally offer sincere praise. However, if someone consistently withholds genuine acknowledgement of your efforts, it might indicate a deeper issue. Instead of celebrating your success, they might respond with a non-committal nod or a vague "okay." Think about the times when your achievements were met with silence or lukewarm responses. In a workplace, for instance, imagine you've put in long hours to complete an important project, only to receive a perfunctory "good job" from a colleague who rarely offers encouragement. Their reluctance to share in your joy isn't a sign of humility. It's often a sign of underlying resentment. They might feel threatened by your accomplishments or fear that acknowledging your success will somehow diminish their own sense of worth. This subtle withholding of praise sends a message that your achievements aren't valued as much as they should be, leaving you to question the sincerity of your relationships. Sign number 5. Constant criticism disguised as advice. Criticism is a natural part of any constructive dialogue, but when criticism is persistently wrapped in the guise of helpful advice, it can become a tool for hidden disdain. You might hear someone say, "Have you ever thought about doing it this way? Or maybe you should try something different next time." While these statements can sometimes be constructive, when repeated over time and delivered in a condescending tone, they reveal more about the speaker's contempt than about your performance. Imagine sharing a project you're proud of, only to have a peer continuously nitpick at every small detail under the pretext of offering guidance. Their advice feels less like a genuine effort to help and more like a covert way to undermine your confidence. This constant barrage of criticism, masked as constructive feedback, is often a subtle method of expressing envy or dissatisfaction. It makes you question whether you're truly doing well, when in fact, it's their own inability to be satisfied that's driving the negativity. Sign number 6. They copy you, but never credit you. Mimicry can be a form of flattery, but when it's done with a twist, it becomes a sign of hidden hostility. Have you ever noticed someone imitating your style, your ideas, or even your unique mannerisms, yet never acknowledging the source of their inspiration? It might seem like harmless imitation at first, but over time, it becomes clear that the person is deliberately trying to borrow your identity while distancing themselves from the credit you deserve. Picture a scenario where you introduce a new concept at work, and soon after, you see a colleague presenting a very similar idea as if it were entirely their own. The resemblance is uncanny, and yet not once do they mention your original contribution. This isn't just imitation, it's a subtle form of sabotage. Their actions say, "I can take what you do and make it my own," and in doing so, they chip away at your sense of individuality and value. Such behavior often stems from a deep-seated insecurity, where the other person believes that by mimicking you, they can somehow measure up or even surpass you. Sign number 7. Passive-aggressive behavior. Passive-aggressive behavior is a classic sign of hidden hostility. Instead of confronting their feelings head-on, some individuals choose to express their animosity through indirect actions. This can include giving you the silent treatment, making sarcastic remarks, or even engaging in small acts of sabotage that seem trivial on the surface but add up over time. Consider a situation where a friend repeatedly agrees to plans with you but then cancels at the last minute without a real explanation. Or perhaps a colleague who pretends to help on a project but ultimately leaves you with extra work at the end. These behaviors are not random acts of inconvenience. They are deliberate moves designed to convey discontent without a direct confrontation. The passive-aggressive approach allows the person to vent their frustration without having to face the discomfort of open conflict, leaving you to piece together the real message behind their actions. Sign number 8. They sabotage your efforts. Sabotage is one of the most damaging signs of hidden hatred, and it often comes in subtle forms that are hard to detect at first. This could be anything from withholding important information that you need to succeed, to deliberately delaying projects, or even undermining your relationships with others. Imagine working tirelessly on an idea, only to find that every time you try to take the next step, obstacles mysteriously appear. Perhaps a coworker forgets to share a crucial email or misplaces key documents, leaving you scrambling to meet deadlines. These aren't isolated incidents. They form a pattern that indicates someone is intentionally trying to hold you back. Such actions speak volumes about the person's true feelings as they choose to sabotage your success rather than celebrate it. The underlying message is clear. They'd rather see you fail than excel, and that can leave a lasting impact on your confidence and sense of security. Sign number 9. They show excessive interest in your failures. While most people prefer to focus on successes, someone harboring hidden hatred often seems unusually fascinated by your missteps. They might subtly steer conversations toward your failures or bring up past mistakes at the most inopportune times. For example, imagine sharing a personal achievement only for someone to immediately recall an earlier failure of yours in a way that makes it seem more significant than it really is. It's as if every time you stumble, they're there, waiting to remind you of your imperfections. This obsessive focus on your shortcomings isn't accidental. It's a deliberate effort to keep you feeling small. By emphasizing your failures, they try to diminish the light of your achievements and reinforce their own hidden negativity. It leaves you wondering why someone would take such a keen interest in your misfortunes, and the answer often lies in their own unresolved feelings of inadequacy. Sign number 10. Their actions contradict their words. One of the most confusing and hurtful signs of hidden hatred is when a person's actions don't match their words. They might verbally express support or friendliness, yet their behavior tells an entirely different story. Consider a friend who constantly tells you how much they care about you, but when it comes time to offer real help or show genuine concern, their actions are noticeably absent. Or think about a colleague who praises your ideas in meetings but later downplays your contributions in private conversations. These contradictions can leave you feeling disoriented and questioning the authenticity of their relationship with you. The dissonance between what they say and what they do is a subtle yet powerful indicator that something isn't right. It's as if their words are simply a facade designed to hide the resentment bubbling just beneath the surface. You start to wonder, what is the real motive behind their behavior? And that realization can be both eye-opening and deeply unsettling. Each of these signs tells a part of the story, a story of hidden emotions that are rarely spoken out loud. They remind you that sometimes the most damaging feelings are those kept in the shadows, masked by everyday politeness and casual remarks. These behaviors are not always meant to hurt, but they can have a cumulative effect, slowly chipping away at your self-esteem and your sense of belonging. Have you ever experienced one or more of these signs in your relationships, whether at work, among friends, or even within your family? It's important to remember that when these subtle cues add up, they are not necessarily a reflection of your worth, but rather an indication of the other person's unresolved issues and inner conflicts. Their hidden resentment is more about their own insecurities than about anything inherently wrong with you. By recognizing these signs, you not only gain insight into the dynamics at play, but also empower yourself to maintain your own inner peace. As you listen to these observations, take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Notice if there are recurring patterns of behavior that align with any of these signs. Understanding these subtle indicators is the first step toward protecting yourself from the negative influence of hidden hate. When you become aware of these dynamics, you can choose to respond with confidence and calm, rather than internalizing the hurt. Now, having uncovered these 10 clear signs, downplaying your success, backhanded compliments, avoiding eye contact, withholding praise, constant criticism disguised as advice, copying without credit, passive-aggressive behavior, subtle sabotage, excessive interest in your failures, and the mismatch between words and actions, you have a clearer picture of how hidden resentment can manifest in everyday interactions. Each sign, in its own way, serves as a warning that there is more beneath the surface than meets the eye. In the next part of our discussion, we will explore how the timeless wisdom of Stoicism offers practical strategies to handle this hidden or hate. By applying these ancient principles, you can learn to maintain your inner strength and calm, even when faced with covert hostility. Stay with me as we shift our focus to understanding how Stoicism can help you navigate these challenging situations with grace and resilience. Technique number 1, the power of perception. The way you see things changes the way you feel about them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Imagine waking up each day knowing that the only true control you have is over your thoughts. When you encounter hidden hate, your perception becomes your greatest ally. Instead of internalizing every slight or dismissing a backhanded compliment, you choose to view these actions as reflections of the other person's struggles, not as a verdict on your worth. Think of it this way. If someone is clouded by envy or insecurity, their actions are merely a mirror of their inner battles. When you reframe their behavior through the lens of perception, you gain the clarity to see that their hostility says more about them than it does about you. By cultivating this perspective, you can step back from emotionally charged situations and observe them objectively, allowing you to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. This technique encourages you to be the master of your own mind, understanding that the external world, with all its negativity, can never diminish your internal light unless you permit it. Technique number 2, emotional control. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, reminds Epictetus. This timeless advice is a cornerstone of managing hidden hate. When you're faced with subtle hostility, the immediate urge is often to react emotionally, to defend yourself, to argue, or to internalize the hurt. But Stoicism teaches us that by exercising emotional control, you retain the power to decide how much influence these negative actions have over you. Picture a scenario where someone's snide remark is intended to cut deep. Instead of allowing the sting to provoke an outburst, you take a deep breath and let the moment pass. You remind yourself that their words are not an attack on your core identity. Instead, they are a manifestation of their own unresolved issues. This technique is about recognizing that while you cannot change what others do, you can always control your response. When you choose calm over conflict, you not only protect your inner peace, but also set an example of resilience. This way of handling emotional turmoil is practical and liberating. It's a daily practice that can transform minor irritations into opportunities for personal growth, reinforcing that your strength lies in your ability to stay centered regardless of external circumstances. Technique number 3, the art of detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It is a powerful tool for preserving your inner calm. Seneca once noted, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." In the context of hidden hate, detachment means recognizing that the negative energy directed at you is not an intrinsic part of who you are. Instead, it's a transient emotion from someone else's internal struggle. Imagine a situation at work where a colleague subtly undermines your contributions. Rather than internalizing their behavior, you step back and observe it as an outsider might. This practice of detachment allows you to maintain your sense of self without becoming entangled in the toxic web of their emotions. With detachment, you learn to see these actions as fleeting and insignificant compared to the strength of your own character. It's like watching a storm from the safety of your home. You're aware of the turmoil outside, but you remain undisturbed. Within, by practicing detachment, you ensure that your peace remains intact, even when others attempt to disturb it. This is a gradual process that requires mindfulness and self-awareness, but with time, it becomes second nature. You begin to recognize that you have the choice to let external negativity roll off you like water off a duck's back. Technique number 4. Cultivating inner calm through reflection. Reflection is a quiet yet transformative practice. By taking moments throughout your day to pause and reflect, you create space for inner calm that can counterbalance the effects of hidden hate. Think about those times when the world seems overwhelming, a moment of silent anger or a burst of hurt triggered by someone's offhand comment. In these moments, instead of reacting immediately, you allow yourself to step back and process your emotions. Imagine sitting quietly after a challenging encounter, letting the feelings wash over you without judgment, and then slowly observing them with a calm mind. This practice of reflective calm is not about suppressing your emotions, but rather understanding them. When you reflect on the root causes of your reactions, you begin to see patterns and learn from them. You ask yourself, what is really affecting me here? Is it truly their action, or is it my interpretation of it? Such reflection transforms emotional chaos into valuable insight. Over time, this habit builds a reservoir of inner strength that can be drawn upon whenever negativity threatens your peace. The key is to create regular intervals in your day for quiet contemplation, whether through journaling, meditation, or simply sitting in silence. With each reflective pause, you reclaim your power, ensuring that your inner light remains undimmed by external forces. Technique number 5. Using reason to overcome emotions. Stoicism champions the use of reason as a tool to navigate life's challenges, including the sting of hidden hate. Instead of letting emotions dictate your actions, you harness rational thinking to analyze situations objectively. When faced with subtle hostility, you ask yourself, is this reaction warranted? What evidence do I have that this behavior is truly about me? By engaging your rational mind, you can dismantle the emotional weight of the moment. Consider a time when someone's veiled remark left you feeling undeserving. Rather than succumbing to self-doubt, you evaluate the situation logically, recognizing that the comment is more about their own limitations than your capabilities. This approach, rooted in reason, enables you to detach from the immediate sting and view the event in a broader context. Rational analysis becomes a shield against impulsive reactions, allowing you to choose responses that align with your values. In practice, this might involve taking a moment to breathe, assessing the situation, and reminding yourself that your worth is not defined by fleeting opinions. When you rely on reason, you empower yourself to rise above the trivialities of daily interactions, ensuring that your decisions are guided by wisdom rather than by momentary emotional impulses. Technique number 6. Accepting what you cannot control. One of the most liberating teachings of Stoicism is the acceptance of what lies beyond your control. Seneca wisely observed, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In the context of hidden hate, acceptance means recognizing that you cannot control the emotions, actions, or opinions of others. Instead, your focus should be solely on what you can change: your thoughts, your reactions, and your inner state. When you encounter subtle negativity, remind yourself that this behavior is a reflection of the other person's inner world, not a measure of your own value. Accepting this truth frees you from the burden of trying to fix or change people who are not ready or willing to confront their own issues. It also allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters: nurturing your own well-being and personal growth. This acceptance is not resignation, but a conscious decision to let go of what you cannot influence. By doing so, you open yourself up to a life where external negativity has minimal impact on your inner peace. Embrace the wisdom that while you cannot control every situation, you can always control your response. This shift in focus is incredibly empowering, as it places the responsibility for your happiness squarely in your own hands. Now, as we prepare to transition to the next part of our conversation about the mistakes to avoid when dealing with hidden hate, take a moment to reflect on these techniques. Each of these approaches, from the power of perception to accepting what you cannot control, provides a practical roadmap for maintaining your inner strength. Stoicism isn't just an abstract philosophy. It's a way of living that equips you with tools to navigate the complexities of human relationships. By integrating these techniques into your daily life, you can transform subtle hostility into opportunities for growth. Remember, the essence of Stoic wisdom lies in your ability to remain calm, reasoned, and resilient, no matter what challenges come your way. As you carry these principles with you, you'll find that your inner light becomes ever more steadfast, impervious to the shifting tides of external negativity. Each time you encounter a moment of hidden hate, you now have a set of practical tools to draw upon, tools that remind you that your worth is unshakable and your power lies in your response. By viewing challenges through the lens of Stoic wisdom, you not only protect your emotional well-being, but also pave the way for a life filled with clarity, peace, and genuine strength. As we move forward, let's keep these teachings close, knowing that with each deliberate choice to remain calm and centered, you are forging a path toward a more resilient and empowered version of yourself. Mistake number 1. Overreacting. That's exactly what they want. Your reaction. The moment you snap in response to a subtle jab or offhand remark, you give hidden hatred more power than it deserves. Overreacting not only fuels the negativity, but also reinforces the notion that their actions have a direct impact on your emotional state. Imagine a situation where a colleague makes a snide comment about your work. Instead of pausing to reflect, you immediately fire back with anger. In that instant, you've shifted from being a calm observer to an active participant in a cycle of hostility. Overreacting amplifies the tension and often leaves you regretting the heated words later. Ask yourself, is this response truly about addressing the issue, or is it simply feeding into a destructive cycle? When you react impulsively, you lose the upper hand and allow their subtle aggression to dictate your mood and behavior. Mistake number 2. Overcompensating to prove your worth. Sometimes, in an effort to silence the hidden negativity, people try too hard to prove themselves. You might find yourself taking on extra work, boasting about your achievements, or even engaging in self-promotion at every opportunity. But here's the catch. Overcompensating rarely addresses the root issue and can backfire. When you constantly feel the need to validate yourself, you inadvertently signal that you're affected by the criticism. Consider a scenario where, after receiving a dismissive remark, you spend the entire day highlighting every success to anyone who will listen. While it might momentarily boost your ego, over time it can come across as defensive rather than confident. This behavior not only tires you out emotionally, but also feeds into the cycle of hidden hate by giving the detractors more ammunition. Instead of overcompensating, ask yourself, can I acknowledge my worth without needing to prove it over and over again? Mistake number 3, seeking revenge. The allure of revenge can be strong, especially when you feel hurt by subtle, ongoing hostility. Seeking revenge might seem satisfying in the moment, but it ultimately perpetuates the cycle of negativity. When you respond to hidden hate by trying to get even, you end up engaging in behavior that mirrors the very actions you despise. Imagine plotting a small, covert act to undermine the person who's been dismissing your efforts, a harmless prank or a snide remark of your own. While this might give you a fleeting sense of power, it usually escalates the tension and creates a toxic environment. Ask yourself, is this retaliation really going to resolve the underlying issues, or is it just deepening the rift? Revenge may momentarily level the playing field, but in the long run, it clouds your judgment and makes it harder to maintain your inner peace. Mistake number 4, internalizing the hurt. One of the most damaging mistakes is allowing the hidden hate of others to erode your self-worth. When you internalize negative comments or passive-aggressive behavior, you begin to question your value. Instead of recognizing that these actions are more a reflection of the other person's inner turmoil than your own worth, you let their hostility seep into your self-image. Consider a friend who consistently downplays your achievements with a sarcastic remark. Over time, you might start doubting whether your hard work is truly valuable. The danger here is that internalizing such negativity turns external criticism into a personal failure, rather than seeing it as an indication of someone else's unresolved issues. Ask yourself, am I allowing their unspoken words to define how I feel about myself? The truth is, your worth is inherent and should never be dictated by someone else's hidden hostility. Mistake number 5, reacting without reflection. Acting on impulse is a common pitfall when dealing with hidden hate. Instead of taking a moment to reflect on the situation, many people respond immediately, driven by emotion rather than thoughtfulness. This lack of reflection can lead to regretful actions that compound the problem. Imagine receiving a snide remark and immediately launching into a defensive tirade. Without taking the time to understand the underlying issues, perhaps the remark was more about the speaker's insecurities than about you. You end up escalating the situation. This reactive approach not only harms your relationships, but also makes it difficult for you to maintain a sense of inner calm. Instead, ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now, and is my reaction serving my long-term well-being? By pausing to reflect, you create space for a more measured response that can diffuse tension rather than intensify it. Mistake number 6. Isolating yourself. When you're hurt by hidden hostility, the natural inclination might be to withdraw from the world, believing that avoiding those who cause you pain will protect you. However, isolating yourself can be a double-edged sword. While it might seem like a safe haven, it often leaves you disconnected from supportive relationships and positive influences. Picture a scenario where you start avoiding social gatherings because you've encountered too much subtle negativity. Over time, this isolation not only limits your opportunities to form meaningful connections, but also reinforces the belief that you're not worthy of positive attention. Ask yourself, am I withdrawing to protect myself, or am I missing out on the chance to build a supportive network? Isolation might shield you temporarily, but it ultimately deprives you of the chance to learn, grow, and receive genuine validation from those who truly care. Mistake number 7. Failing to seek constructive solutions. Often, when dealing with hidden hate, people fall into the trap of focusing solely on the hurt without seeking ways to address it constructively. Dwelling on the negative without looking for solutions can lead to a vicious cycle of resentment and despair. Instead of channeling your energy into understanding the underlying issues or seeking ways to improve the situation, you might find yourself stuck in a loop of self-pity and frustration. Consider a time when you felt slighted by someone's passive-aggressive behavior. Instead of taking a step back to evaluate the situation or even having an open conversation about your feelings, you might end up stewing in anger. This lack of proactive problem-solving not only leaves the issue unresolved, but also drains your emotional energy. Ask yourself, what constructive steps can I take to address this issue rather than letting it fester? Recognizing the mistake of inaction is crucial, because the moment you decide to do nothing, you give hidden hate the power to control your emotional well-being. Reflecting on these mistakes, it becomes clear that each one contributes to a cycle where hidden hate gains strength at the expense of your peace and self-worth. Overreacting feeds the hostility, while overcompensating and seeking revenge distort your sense of self. Internalizing the hurt and reacting impulsively without reflection leave lasting scars on your emotional health, and isolation cuts you off from the support you need. Finally, failing to seek constructive solutions traps you in a loop of negativity that prevents growth and healing. The key to breaking this cycle lies in recognizing these pitfalls as they occur and choosing a different path. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, pause and breathe. Instead of trying to prove yourself, focus on what truly matters, your intrinsic value. Rather than seeking revenge, channel your energy into constructive actions that nurture your well-being. And rather than isolating yourself, reach out to those who genuinely care, allowing their support to reinforce your strength. As you continue on your journey, consider this a gentle reminder. Every time you catch yourself making one of these mistakes, you have the power to change course. Ask yourself what lesson you can learn from each experience and how you might handle a similar situation differently next time. By doing so, you not only protect yourself from further harm, but also pave the way for a more resilient, empowered version of yourself. Now, as we prepare to transition into practical solutions, think about the strategies you could implement to avoid these common pitfalls. How can you cultivate a mindset that deflects hidden hate rather than absorbing it? What changes can you make in your interactions that will help you maintain your peace regardless of how others behave? In the next part of our discussion, we'll explore actionable techniques that build on these insights, helping you to navigate the complexities of hidden hostility with grace and confidence. Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. When you recognize these errors in handling hidden hate, you empower yourself to make better choices in the future. By understanding the impact of overreacting, overcompensating, seeking revenge, internalizing hurt, reacting impulsively, isolating yourself, and failing to seek solutions, you lay the groundwork for a more balanced, reflective, and empowered life. Each step you take towards a more constructive response is a step towards reclaiming your emotional well-being and inner strength. Step 1. Emotional control. You cannot control their hate, but you can control how you react. That's where your real power is. When you feel that sting from a snide remark or a dismissive comment, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Instead of immediately reacting with anger, give yourself a chance to assess the situation. Imagine a scenario at work where a colleague makes an offhand comment about your presentation. Your heart might race, and your first impulse could be to fire back. But instead, try to remain calm. Ask yourself, is this really about me, or is it just a reflection of their inner turmoil? By mastering your emotional control, you shift from being a reactive participant in their negativity to a calm observer who decides how much power to grant those words. This simple act of pausing not only diffuses tension, but also preserves your inner peace. Step 2. Cultivating self-awareness and mindfulness. Self-awareness is the foundation of overcoming hate. It's about noticing your own reactions and understanding why a particular comment or action triggers you. Think back to a time when someone's subtle hostility left you feeling hurt. Instead of drowning in the negative emotion, take a moment to reflect on what exactly affected you. Is it their tone, the choice of words, or perhaps a past experience that makes you more sensitive? By practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to breathe, you learn to identify these triggers. This practice transforms moments of distress into opportunities for self-growth. When you become aware of your feelings, you can choose to address them constructively. Ask yourself, What can I learn from this? How can I use this moment to strengthen my inner resolve? This insight empowers you to react not out of impulse, but from a place of deep understanding. Step 3. Setting healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are essential for protecting yourself from the continuous drain of negativity. It's not about shutting people out completely, but rather about knowing where your limits lie and asserting them respectfully. Consider a friend or colleague who routinely makes subtle digs at your achievements. Instead of enduring these comments silently, gently communicate how their behavior affects you. For example, you might say, "I appreciate your input, but those remarks make me feel undervalued." Setting boundaries isn't confrontational, it's a proactive step to safeguard your well-being. When you establish what is acceptable and what isn't, you not only preserve your self-respect, but also signal to others that you won't tolerate behavior that diminishes you. Remember, boundaries are not walls, they are the gentle lines that define where your energy begins and another's negativity ends. Step 4. Seeking support from a trusted network. No one should have to face hidden hate alone. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and affirm your worth. Think about those moments when you felt isolated after a series of hurtful comments. Instead of internalizing that negativity, reach out to someone who knows you well, a friend, a mentor, or a family member who can offer a listening ear and honest feedback. Sometimes just talking through your feelings can provide clarity and comfort. This network of support acts as a buffer against the corrosive effects of hidden hate. When you share your experiences, you not only validate your own feelings, but also discover that others may have faced similar challenges. Together, you can brainstorm ways to handle such situations, reminding you that you are not defined by the negativity of a few. With supportive voices around you, your confidence grows and the power of hidden hate diminishes in the light of collective strength. Step 5. Practicing forgiveness and letting go. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying negative emotions. Imagine holding on to every slight, every offhand remark as if it were a heavy stone in your pocket. Over time, this weight only drags you down, affecting your mood, your self-esteem, and your overall well-being. Practicing forgiveness means acknowledging the pain, understanding that it often stems from the other person's own struggles, and then choosing to let go. Ask yourself, what do I gain by holding on to this hurt? More often than not, the answer is nothing. Forgiveness allows you to reclaim your energy and redirect it toward positive pursuits. It's a gradual process, one that might require time and reflection, but with each step, you liberate yourself from the chains of resentment. When you let go of hate, you make room for peace and personal growth. Step 6. Focusing on self-growth and inner strength. Investing in yourself is one of the most powerful antidotes to hidden hate. Instead of fixating on the negativity of others, channel your energy into pursuits that nurture your growth. Consider developing a new skill, diving into a passion project, or even taking time for personal reflection and meditation. Each step you take towards self-improvement builds your resilience, reinforcing the fact that your worth is intrinsic and independent of external validation. When you focus on your personal development, you become less vulnerable to the negative opinions and subtle hostilities of those around you. Your inner strength becomes a fortress, impervious to the fleeting nature of others' judgments. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that will help me grow stronger? Whether it's reading a thought-provoking book, practicing a new hobby, or simply spending time in quiet contemplation, each positive action reinforces your sense of self and builds a buffer against negativity. Step 7. Reframing negative situations with Stoic wisdom. One of the most transformative approaches to overcoming hate is to reframe negative experiences through the lens of Stoic wisdom. This means looking at every hurtful remark, every dismissive comment, as an opportunity for growth rather than a personal attack. Remember the Stoic principle that you have power over your mind, not over external events. By applying this idea, you can choose to interpret negativity as a reflection of the other person's struggles, not a measure of your own worth. When you encounter a situation that stings, take a moment to ask, what can this teach me? How can I use this experience to strengthen my resolve? This reframing transforms a painful encounter into a lesson in resilience. It shifts your focus from the harm inflicted upon you to the power you have to shape your response, thus reclaiming control over your emotional landscape. Throughout these steps, the common thread is the empowerment of your own inner world. Each strategy, from emotional control to reframing negative experiences, offers a practical tool to help you overcome hidden hate. Picture yourself standing firm in the midst of adversity, calm, centered, and unshaken. Every time you choose to manage your emotions, set healthy boundaries, or invest in your personal growth, you send a powerful message to both yourself and the world. Your worth is not determined by the negativity of others. The beauty of these practical steps is that they are within your control. They are tools you can use every day to build a life that is not defined by external hostility, but by your inner peace and strength. As you integrate these strategies into your daily routine, you'll notice a gradual shift, a lightening of the emotional burden, a greater sense of calm, and an unwavering confidence that radiates from within. Now, as we begin to wrap up this segment, think about the practical steps you can take right now. How can you apply emotional control in your next challenging encounter? What small act of self-care can you commit to today to nurture your inner strength? Every effort, no matter how small, contributes to a larger journey toward reclaiming your peace and resilience. Embrace these steps as not just actions, but as a way of life, a daily practice that empowers you to overcome hate and live fully in your own truth. With each step, you build a stronger foundation for yourself, one that is resilient, confident, and impervious to the fleeting negativity of the world around you. And as you move forward, remember that the power to overcome hate lies within you. Your inner light, nurtured by emotional control, mindfulness, healthy boundaries, supportive relationships, forgiveness, and self-growth, will always shine brighter than any shadow cast by hidden hostility. Now take a deep breath and let these insights settle in. You have the tools, you have the wisdom, and most importantly, you have the strength to turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Let's carry this empowering energy with us as we transition into the final thoughts of our conversation, where we celebrate the journey of transformation and look forward to a future defined by peace, resilience, and unwavering inner strength. As we reach the end of our conversation today, let's take a moment to reflect on all the insights we've shared. We began by exploring how subtle behaviors can reveal hidden hate, a form of resentment that is rarely expressed directly, yet leaves a profound impact on our emotional well-being. We learned that hidden hate often stems from deep-rooted feelings, like envy, insecurity, unresolved grudges, and projection. These negative emotions, when left unexamined, can cloud our perception and even influence how we feel about ourselves. Throughout our discussion, we delved into practical strategies drawn from the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. We discovered that the power of perception is the first step to reclaiming your inner strength. By realizing that you have control over your thoughts and emotions, you can choose not to let the subtle hostility of others affect your sense of self. This is a powerful reminder from Marcus Aurelius. You truly have power over your mind, and that is where your real strength lies. We also talked about the importance of emotional control, pausing before reacting, taking a deep breath, and reflecting on whether a hurtful comment is more about the speaker's own struggles than about you. By mastering your emotional responses, you can break the cycle of negativity and maintain a sense of inner peace, even in the face of covert hostility. Another essential lesson was the value of setting healthy boundaries and cultivating supportive relationships. When you surround yourself with people who genuinely uplift you, you create a protective space where negativity has little room to take hold. Remember, you are not defined by someone else's inability to celebrate your successes. Your worth comes from within, and no external validation can diminish that. We also explored the transformative power of forgiveness and letting go. Holding on to resentment only serves to weigh you down, whereas forgiveness liberates you, enabling you to redirect your energy toward personal growth and inner peace. Embracing forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful behavior. It's about choosing to free yourself from the burden of unspoken hate. Finally, we discussed the importance of focusing on self-growth, investing time in personal development, whether through learning a new skill, engaging in reflection, or simply taking moments to appreciate your own journey, builds resilience. With each step you take, you reinforce your ability to rise above the negativity that might surround you. So, have you ever experienced silent hate? How did you handle those moments when subtle hostility made its presence known? I invite you to take a moment to think about these questions and share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs to begin their own journey toward inner peace and resilience. Before you go, please consider subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications. Together, we can continue exploring these powerful ideas, supporting each other in creating lives filled with strength, understanding, and genuine connection. Thank you for being a part of this conversation today. Let's keep this dialogue open. Your insights matter, and I can't wait to hear from you.